Okay. Yeah, something happened. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I was thinking that my brother will come, then I will start, but I can start something with you. I'm planning to have a Bandara on 2nd April at my place here. And maybe from Canada, 5 people are coming. Due to COVID-19, I need to have only 15 people. So, because it's the 2nd April of Savan's Bandara. So I used to do regularly this Savan's 2nd April and July is a birthday. And then my spiritual mother, Bibi Lajo, and my Master Kirpal Singh, I do that in August 20th. Then our dear beloved Master Ishwarji Man Bandara for them on a birthday. So this is my yearly Bandaras I used to do before too. Now I am telling you, when I was in Minneapolis, living over there, and Ishwarji came first time in my house in 1996, and he started satsang over there. So I have a sangat in my area, like 30, 40 people, and I invited them to have a darshan. But he started to give a satsang in my house, and all loved. And you know, David Lee, Bill, and Susanna, they all were in my house, and Tiki, who was making videos later. So they all people belonging to Minneapolis area, they got initiated from my jab master, and they then started, they were very sad. And then I brought them in my house to have a darshan of Ishwarji, and then they followed him, and they like him very much, and they got the vibration so much. They didn't miss any Bandara, any satsang. And they used to bring me to Chicago or Wisconsin like that. And it is all Ishwar's grace to give me so much loving people from his family. But, you know, I know him from 1960 in India, when he was a big officer, working like a finance commissioner in Indian government Parliament House. And then he became a chief secretary of Punjab. So when I came in 1982, I did not know that he's a master, that he, here in America, he gives a satsang. He kept the secret in India, I think, because he was Punjab's chief of secretary. All department secretaries were under him in Punjab. So, and my father was police officer too. And then he used to come in Bibi Lajo's house in my hometown, Amritsar, the Golden Cities, Golden Temple City, you know, I can give that introduction. So he used to come in Bibi Lajo's house, and I used to go to see Bibi Lajo from my childhood. And then I met him as my boss, you know. And then Bibi Lajo told me, he is a God, you know. I said, what? He is a God, and he's a chief secretary of Punjab. How can he be a God? She said, no, don't do that. Don't misunderstand. He's officer here. But in the United States, he's a God. It was very new thing for me, you know, but I took it very light. So I was working as a principal in Punjab district Firozpur in Abor. So then One time he came in my institution where I was principal, and he saw me over there. He said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm doing my job. It's a hostel English medium high school, and I was principal. And it was private school." But he said, "No more. You should have a government job." I said, "There's no vacancies for government job. How can I apply?" Within a week, he opened the 10,000 teachers in government, Punjab government, in the newspaper. And then he sent me his assistant to my school where I was principal. He said, "Sir, he told me that you apply. The vacancies are there in the newspaper." I didn't know that. So when I opened the newspaper, there were vacancies. Then I applied it. So my interview came for giving me job, and I filled the form application and applied in Chandigarh. So they called me for interview. I went there, and my dad went with me. When I entered the room where the interview was, there were 5 members of board, but their education board. And they told me to sit on the chair, on the table where they were sitting around, and I sat over there. And instead of asking me question, they served me very good tea and the sweets and the cookies, a big party, and they were also taking the party with me. And we spent like 15, 20 minutes. They didn't ask me any question about me for interview. When we were done with eating, drinking tea, I went from Amritsar to Chandigarh. And they said, "It's all done." I said, "What is done?" "I don't know where is my job, where I'm going, what happened, what kind of interviews." He said, "Yeah, we take interview like this, And my father was sitting outside, he was worried. And then they showed me my application. He said, "You see your application, tick mark is right. You done. See the signature down." And they showed me. I saw Ishwar Puri's signature and the stamp, Chief Secretary of Punjab. That's done. Whatever the station I filled up, I got it. And I was directly appointed headmistress of government middle school in Amritsar district in a village. Then I went to BB Lajo. From my job, I have to give a resignation in my job. Over there, they were very sad. What we will do is short notice. I said, "No, I will join my job over there. Then I will come back. And then I will give you time until the new principal comes, I will go." So when I joined my government job, headmistress, I told them that I need 15 days more to give the notice to my previous job. So I got it. After 15 days, I joined as a headmaster over there. And then my father went to thank him. And then my father was assistant inspector. And then he ordered the deputy commissioner of police and then wrote it to my father. He should be sub-inspector, senior inspector in police. So there are so many things he helped me. I don't know. This is due to be Bilajo, my spiritual lady, mother, and that she gave me all facilities in my life. So everything he gave me, government residence too. I never lived separate from my parents, but he gave me government house closer to the Bibi Lajo's house and to my school. So these things made him good, perfect disciple of his master Savan. Then he was made perfect guru, perfect master by the grace of his master. And now our turn came to be under his grace too, you know. So many things are to be explained. There is no end of his sympathy and kindness in my life, you know. I miss him, but I don't believe he left me. He's still working for me. Still. I can see him in his Sangat, in his family, you know. All Sangat, when I do this, attend the groups, every group, I'm so healthy and so happy. I can't tell you. He's always with me and I can see him. When I remember all the things, I can't expect that. I deserve all these things, you know. We belong to middle family, you know. Nothing in us, only education. Okay, I can give you everybody's chance. Maybe I will come next again.
Radha Swami, is Raj still here?
Yes.
Yes.
I do not see the video.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Thank you very, very much, Raj.
1 second. She's.
Radha Swamiji, can you hear me?
I can hear you, and thank you very much. I thought you're going to share some more stories, like maybe for half hour or 1 hour or 2 hours, so that way I don't have to say anything. I was
every
hoping.
time. I'm so happy,
You know?
so glad to see you, both of you. My friend is so sweet. Look at that. Our true friendship, Master make us again meeting, you know.
Yes,
and
yes.
especially, I search a lot of to many people about you. Later, Hatish, he told me about you. He sent me your video and link. So then from India.
I hope anything good about me. I mean, because
Very nice.
I hope so.
Very nice. All grace of Master you people have, you know. That's he is working within you.
We all in His grace.
Yeah, but
you. Go ahead.
But I can see him working with you through you.
I'm just a sevadar doing seva for my master.
Yes. Yeah. In any way. Anyway.
It's I don't know take any credit for it, but I like to explain that it is it's both of us. It's he and she. It's not just the one person. They're all part of this one soul.
Yeah, but
grace is the one keeps me going.
Such great seva can get a rare souls. Not everybody, you know. It's Master Seven told that it's predestined. From the previous birth, you get the birth and then close to the Master, come close to the time, how the steps goes like that. Then he chose the disciples who deserve the such sevas, you know. It's not easy to do such sevas. That's very hard. Until he works within you, we people cannot do any kind of seva, you know, any kind. Even I can't speak any story if he is not being. So everything comes through him to the disciple. So it's very rare souls who do such sevas, I can say. Believe me, I tell only the words of Hazur, whatever he said. Okay, you can start now with the others. Then I am here. We will do again.
Do you have any questions? This satsang is taking totally different you know, approach. You know, it's always like we plan this and then it always comes up differently. Any questions someone has? Because I would like to say a few things or explain a few things. But maybe I could tie this to some questions someone has.
No one's punched in the questions in the chat box. We assume that
Okay.
there are no questions. So yeah. Unless anyone has, we can unmute yourselves and.
Well, since I'm on the record, I would like to take this opportunity to explain a few things. Explain from the point of view of Saint Mat. During last year, can I see myself instead of you, Pranay, please? I know you have a new haircut and all the rest.
No. I mean,
and all that. You look very pretty, but
no, that was not my intent. I mean, that's not my intention. I can see just you on the screen. I mean, I'm a
imagine
novice.
Someone is they're gonna be looking at you. Yeah, you're a joker, you know. you like to play the tricks. That reminds me. So was the master. He liked to, you know. We had some in the labs when I and Grace were with him, and he incredible. But I learned myself that masters, they like to play jokes, you know, and on people too. So we had a wonderful time in that sense. You know, it was very happy time, and he was the incredible person to be with privately. I would like to explain that I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with him. And when I mean by that, since 2015, you know, and from the day one, first time I met him in this life, there was a recognition. There was a total recognition. And in fact, I mentioned that when I had a first interview in the Synergia ranch. It was a 5-minute interview at the time. There was a workshop kind of retreat in New Mexico. I went for this interview, and I don't want to reveal too many things. But you know, once the interview is over, you know, you hear this, you know, they want you to come, you know, it's time to leave. And if you don't, they will open the door, you know, the guards outside, so to speak. But I went back to him during that interview, and I said something to Mr. Puri. He was sitting on this kind of like a sofa. I said something to him, and he said yes. So from that moment, nothing basically changed. I saw him many times. I had the interviews. Usually every satsang we attended, we would have an interview. And there was a reason for that. So he will see me. We usually went there every month, right? Yeah. Beside the workshops. But it came to the point that some people started noticing this, and they were saying, well, what's with Cezary? Even the president, Jonathan at the time, went to the master and said, what's with Cezary? You know, what is this? Is this his karma from past life or this life? You know. And by the way, I know this from the master. Everything I know is from the master. So 99% I have to keep this confidential, though. So master will share many things with me and with Grace too. So it came the point that not everybody like that, but they did not understood and still don't understand what was going on. So at one point, Master had to start seeing us privately. So we would travel with Master and Toshi, go to places, you know, Las Vegas, and because it's closer to Sedona, it's about 5-hour drive. So when they there, he will call us, you know, me and Grace, Master will call us and to see him, to come over. Many times. This is not just 1, 2 time. We spend a lot of time with the Master. And even after Toshi passed away. Now I have to tell you that Grace and Toshi became the best friends in the world. The best friends, even Master, you know, was when Grace was with Toshi, you know, Master would take his telephone, you know, his telephone and start recording, you know, because that was so amazing. She will sit with the Toshi will go somewhere in Vegas, but she will buy the earrings, you know, stuff like that. Grace was just putting those earrings. I mean, it's amazing, amazing stuff. Master was so happy. Mr. Puri was so happy, incredibly happy. So was the Toshi, and so was the Grace, and so was I. So we will go to the best places, you know, Bellagio, I mean, you name it, you know. He really knew how to organize the best time you could have, you know, with the Master. But also during that time, he will share many things with me. And those things are they can never be revealed. Not in front of the Sun God. He make me to promise, you know, in the sense, you know, to close my mouth. So for years I was not able to say anything, and the only reason I'm saying some of these things now is because of the relationship. He revealed this relationship, the spiritual relationship between the Great Master, him, and I, and the Grace. In fact, there was a situation where once, I will tell you who that was, but it was the Master Grace and the Great Master, and the question came out. I understand why Cezary is here. This person was a very private group of, you know, I understand why the Grace is here, but what's with the Grace when the Cezary is here? But so what is with Grace? Why is she here? You know, and the Master will explain then why Grace was there too. So whatever we're doing, whatever we say we're doing to best of our ability is I and Grace. It is he and she. It's not just one person. Without her support, I won't be able to do it as freely as I can. And let me point out that Master gave very specific directions to Grace.
To take care of you.
Well, she has a very specific mode from the Master. When I say Master, I refer to Mr. Puri. And when I say Mr. Puri, he was a perfect living Master, and he proved it to me. Many people use different names. I call him Mr. Puri because when we had the dinner in the family setting, you know, one time his family, you know, I asked him, how do you want me to say it? How do you want me to call you? And he said, Mr. Puri. So this is why I always say Mr. Puri, because this is how he said he would like to be called. You know, many people call mass this and this and that. They will make up the long list of descriptions and names, but he wanted to be called Mr. Puri. So that's how I started. Also, when we say the Radha Swami greeting, that also refers to that scenario. You know, although I never heard that too many times, you know, within the Sangha. Some people will say Radha Swami, some people will not. There's a big misunderstanding what that really means, you know. This is the Satsang itself. So I was able, because of that, to learn immensely from him. And if I was not prepared, that would destroy me. I could never make it. My mind would just give up. And I would like to point out that, well, most of us, we get initiated and with the master, we think it's over, you know, this is it. But the masters are always testing you. And in my case, Mr. Puri spared me nothing. He didn't spare me any mercy in that sense. And he put me in the situations, spiritual situations, that if I did not have his support and the background from before, in that sense, I will never make it. I know people who were just exposed to just a little bit to it. In fact, my friend, he just took a glimpse of that and he died within a year. Would you say? Yeah. He had cancer and he died. He just couldn't. So this is the type of tests we're talking about. You're totally on the edge, like the sword, double-edged sword. You know, you're on the edge of that, and you never know when you're gonna wind up. So in that sense, Mr. Puri put me through very intensive drama part, and if I did not have, if I didn't love him so much, you know, if I didn't love him so much, I would never make it. If I just use my mind and the knowledge, and when I learned about this path or the path of Saint Mark, this stuff which was start revealing to me in grace, I will never make it. This is not something taken lightly. With his grace, he will put me in all the different situations, you know. He will put me in the situations with I basically visually had the dinner with just about everybody in Sangat at the time. I met many people. He will put me in the situations, like even the businesses, you know, he will put me there just to witness. I will be sitting through the board meetings and just, he wanted me to see who is who, literally. I really had to learn who every single person in that sense. People who were around the master at the time. Now, I was with him one time walking in Las Vegas, and I said, I mean, because this is, you know, you holding all of this in yourself, you know. And I said, he said no, he won't allow me, he will not give me permission to speak about any of this. Even these times when no one in Sangha had an idea, actually, you know, what was happening in that sense. And I said to him, because he was going, you know, there was a show, Tape Man. There's a guy with the tape, you know, having the show in Las Vegas, you know. Very funny, you know. So master will go to the shows, you know, we will go to the shows, we will go with the master. And I said to him, like this, the tape man, you know, you want me just like it? He said, yes, like the tape man. No word said. So, this is how it was. There came time that master we will go to India. We had many plans with the master. He had the plans, you know, to travel. We're supposed to go to China, for example. After India, we're supposed to go to China. We already had the visas, everything, passports, you know, but there was some problem in Hong Kong, and this whole thing was canceled. And we're also supposed to go numerous places. This was the part of the coaching, so to speak. And I remember one time sitting with him. You know, just Mr. Puri, Grace, and I. And this was in Dao restaurant, very nice restaurant in Las Vegas. I'm sharing something personal here. And, you know, we're sitting with him and we have a beautiful dinner and all that, you know. This was, we usually spend like a week with him, you know, sometimes more days or less days, depends on the situation. And I remember because I am looking at him, he's sitting, you know, just the three of us by the table. And I remember telling him, I never deny you. Because what he put me through, it's something that can't be even explained to anybody. No one will even understand what that is and what that means. But I said, I love you. You know I love you. And I never deny you. He looked at me and he says, I know. That's why you and Grace are sitting with me here. So situations like that. Situations like I will spend the New Year's Eve with him. Like 2020, New Year's Eve. Just him and I, no one else. No one else was there because he usually spent this time with Toshi. They had this reservation for many years, and every year they will spend New Year's Eve together, just Master and Toshi, his wife Toshi. But this was the year when Toshi passed away. So Master had the one, you know, advance ticket for hold that New Year's celebration that was in the Westgate Resort. Very, very nice resort in Las Vegas. Very high class shows, you know, and all the rest, people and beautiful clothes and very high elite kind of, you know, too. And with all the, and I was the one who went with him to that show. And this is the time, this is, you know, there's a reception, 1 hour or so, you know, there's a dinner, there's a show. This is not like, this is few hour event, you know, very intensive event, celebration, but we're eating the dinner together, like a middle part of that celebration, and it's just Master and I, and all the strangers around, you know. And each table had, you know, like there was usually men and women, couples and stuff like that, sitting. But in that case, it was the master and I, we are the couple, it's master and I. So there's people sitting next to me on the other side, they start, we all start talking because, people are drinking champagnes, how that is. We, of course, I and master, we did not have any champagne, anything like that, but, and they start, and I'm just thinking, if you only knew who is sitting here with you, all the strangers. And so this guy next to me, he started asking, well, who is that man? And who are you? He was asking me, what is my role? I said, oh, I'm just a bodyguard, I told him I'm a bodyguard, and this is, Mr. Puri. And he says, Mr. Puri, but when the Mr. Puri, he will draw this attention to himself because this is what's about him, people just like subconsciously, who is this man, why? So, and I said to this guy, like next to me, he was, I think, with his wife or girlfriend. And I said, do you know that there are thousands, how lucky you are. There are thousands of people that would like to be with this man just for a few minutes. And you're sitting here to this whole dinner celebration with Mr. Puri. And he said, who is Mr. Puri? So he started on his phone, he took his phone and he started, searching. And then all of a sudden he said, whoa, he said, can I talk to him? He thinks I'm a bodyguard, which I kind of, not like a master needed a bodyguard, but at least that was his understanding. And he started talking to Mr. Puri, and it was just amazing to watch these different situations, And but I never forget what Mr. Puri revealed to me, And because I'm sitting with him, all the celebrations and everything else, and so I asked him why I am here with you, because he told me, Cezary, do you know that there are thousands of people in the world that will do anything just to be with me right now? In other words, the people will fly the private jets just to be with him, literally, so for 10 minutes, some billionaire. And then he said, but you are with me. Here, then he says, I cannot repeat that. That is very private. So situations like that. What I would like to point out is this was a one-in-a-lifetime situation. This never happened before. It will never happen afterwards. And I know there are people who will fly the private jet just to see Mr. Puri for 10 minutes. I know that. I mean, most people do not understand, people from all over the world that was seeking his counsel. Princesses, Most people know been in Dubai and this and that, but they really don't know the whole story, how these people. So Las Vegas was a good place for that, because it's easy for these people to fly in and out, at the time. Now with all the COVID, I don't know what the situation is. So even if someone had an interview with Mr. Puri, one interview or maybe two interviews, or depends on the situation, please understand that even those people from all over the world, they are, and if I tell you I know some of these people, not necessarily personally, but I know who they are. I'm not. I don't have a permission to reveal who they are. One time I did a few years ago, and Grace said, "Well, maybe you know, shouldn't say that," and she was right. So we are very lucky to be with him, and how lucky we are, it's beyond the comprehension. Because many of us, we really do not realize what we got from him. But for myself, I do. And for Grace, we know that. So it's amazing to see what's happening after he passed away. And one thing I would like to explain that before he left, he makes preparations, you know. He made preparations for his spiritual work to continue. And for better or worse, most people are not aware of that. And this is not the fault of anyone, because this was kept secret for a long time. Master did not address these issues openly in front of the Sun God. So when Mr. Puri left his physical form, there's a lot of speculation came out. The speculation, this is what I would like to address this a little bit, because this is our 12th, 13, 14 satsang.
Mhm.
So we already had a satsang whole year, last year. But I received quite a few questions, from, like through the email, or I may spoke to someone on the phone, without going who those people are. But there are quite a few major questions, and they come because of the misunderstanding on the part of organization or there's different groups. Like Raj said, there are so many different groups. And I am aware of these groups because Mr. Puri will speak to me about. He will really ask me what I think or about this. He will assign me specific things to find, to do. And I was always fired from this, from these groups. And sure, I remember when I was a part of these business meetings, the all three businesses and so forth, and I was just sitting there, and so forth. But then me and Grace will see Mr. Puri in Rani's in Las Vegas or somewhere, and I will say, you know what? I just got fired from the businesses, Mr. Puri was, he was so happy. He was so happy that I got fired, from that, because my role was different, So I got fired. Who I was a poor guy. I didn't have a money or anything else, but nobody understood why I was even there. Master knew, and I did, and of course Grace knew. So then he will assign to me the project in Europe specifically. I mean, this was officially, during the interview, actually, he will assign me this project. He wanted me to take over, to make sure. And he said, to put one day aside for just him and me, because he wanted to see where I was born. he wanted me to show him the city I was born, which is Warsaw, Poland. I was born in Warsaw, Poland. So he said he wanted to see me show him the city. But I remember later on, you know, I'm sitting in the family house, you know, Mr. Puri, you know, not the one in Bruce. And I said, you know what? I just got fired. Again, you know, from that whole project, you know, I just got fired. And so people will always fire me, you know, because somehow this little egos comes into play, but they really did not understand the master Moj. And this is the great misunderstanding. Many people do not understand what Master Moj is. This is very rare for someone to understand. So when the master sends someone, they will treat that person on not nice, you know. And just like this story about, you know, when you get into disgrace over a master, you have to wear the different clothes and start dancing, you know, to redeem yourself. But please understand, when master gives someone the Moj, this person represents the master. And anyone going against that person, they're really going against the master. Now, consciously or unconsciously, ignorance is not the excuse. We all have to answer in front. I will say who when the time comes. So the one thing, my advice to anyone, any word, make sure what the real Moj of the master is and try not to intervene in that. And in fact, Kirpal Sen, he wrote many books. And I respect him in that aspect also because he wrote many books and explain a lot of different subjects, you know, as far as the Sutra Yoga and Santmat it is. Of course, he had to leave the Vyas and Dera for other reasons. I know those reasons. You probably do not know really what happened, and you will never do. Maybe Raj does, but anyway, so he wound up in his mission in Delhi, and then he had a very considerate following in the West, you know. But he says that if you just Satsangi, I'm paraphrasing, this is, you know, paraphrasing his words. If you just a Satsangi, and let's say you stand up against this or that, you know, you're the Satsangi. But if you're the master, 100,000 times your responsibility is. So anyone who claims that he's the master, anyone who makes the claim that I am a successor of Mr. Puri, I want to advise them that this is huge claim. This is the claim that I and Satpurusha are one and the same. Why is that? Because anyone who had the experience of Satlok as the individual soul, so to speak, and it's in front of that being, this is metaphorically speaking, before merging into Satpurush, this realization that the Satguru, your perfect living master, Satguru and Satpurush are one and the same. This is the realization which can, in other words, I'm forbidden to speak about the rest. But anyway, this is very serious. for someone to make the claim, or I am the master, or master told me this and that in the hallway somewhere, or we are pals for 3 decades or something like that. And please understand, the masters are testing everyone, every moment, but most of us never realize that. It's like the Perugia, the story about Perugias. They will assume the role and test the person. This applies to every phase of life. Such your spiritual life, material life in that sense, businesses. All these people have been put to test in that sense. Most people have no idea what was really going on, and they will never know. And I already said too much, probably. The reason I'm speaking about this even is because I have his permission to do it. And Grace was there. The specific places, specific places. Everything I said could be verified, actually, Someone who really want to verify the stories I talk about, they really could. Even the closest people to the master, they take the time to do it. Everything can be verified because there's a records of it, like a record of everything we did. We went places with the masters and stuff like that, Even hotel, anyway, so do not take this very lightly, assuming the role of the master. Also, be very careful when you start initiating. Be extremely, 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 extremely careful. Anyone who start initiating other people in the name of the great master. I'm cautioning you. Not that it matters to me, who does or what. They all have their own karma. I'm cautioning because of the gravity of what that means. Because I get this different information, and I don't want to talk specifically about anyone because not even Master was speaking about that, Mr. Puri. But let me explain what the initiation is. Just very, because this subject itself is like whole day. In fact, last satsang, again, we had the 7.5 hours satsang. Most people probably will go to sleep, but not people who stayed, they didn't go to sleep. So there was something interesting in the satsang. But the initiation, as represented by Swamiji of Agra and Sanjama Sen, in that line of Swamiji, and the Great Master, and Mr. Puri as the Perfect Living Master, I'm referring here to Namdan, the power of initiation. This is explained by all these masters. So let me explain a few things about that, because most people are aware, those who are satsangis, or maybe not, about the mantra or Simran, which is the 5-word. Reason I'm saying that is because anyone can find that out, going on internet. Mr. Puri speaks about that. So I'm free to speak about that. But this is the Varanatmik mantra. And it is the Simran, and it's designed specifically to Sachkhand, or the true home. Now be very careful when you go for different initiation, especially if you were initiated by a master or saint like Mr. Puri was, in that sense. Swamiji, before he left his body, he specifically explained that my path is of Sat, Nam, and Anami. Let me repeat this. My path is of Sant, and Sant Mat is of Sat, Nam, and Anami. What does that mean? And this being discussed in Agra and all this, great master also explained this. So all of these masters, the master, Sat Guru, takes you to Sachkhand, the true home, Sataloka. So this is the initiation. And let me explain this to you again, take it this or not, straight out of the manual for the masters. So to speak, the name, form, and color can only exist from the gross body, pind body, to Satlok. Let me explain this to you again. Because those who understand the Dunatmic and Varanatmic, they will know what I'm talking about, what I'm referring to. I don't want to be too specific, but so we deal with Varanatmic, which are the words which can be spoken in this through this gross body, okay? Name and form and color can only be experienced. It's possible from the gross body to the Sat Lok. This is what Swamiji explained. My pathways of Sat Nam, or Sat Purush, some would like to call it, the perfect being, that first manifestation. And Anami. Now, what does the Anami mean? The Anami means this is experience reserved for Sat Purush. The regions, as described by these masters, Alak, Agam, and Anami, these are not the regions assigned to individual souls. Okay? So your initiation deals with that. This is where the master takes you to Satlok, to Sachkhand, your true home. Not the one, not the copy on the causal reason. The real one. Beyond the real Van Vargufa, okay? So this is where master take you. This is your initiation. It's not necessarily even the words, it's the charge in those words. From the region of Satlok, Alak, Agam, and Anami, no name, form, or color is possible. This is not possible. Anami, or Radhaswami Dan, is the region when Dunatmic originate, okay? So be very careful with anyone who is speaking about these regions and offering you something. Because I can tell you exactly what that is, but I don't want to crush anybody. I really don't want to crush someone's mind, okay? So I got to be very careful here. Please understand that in Sant Mat, or Sutra Yoga, or Radhaswami Yoga, or Shabad Yoga, all the one and the same. The first and true manifestation of this ocean of love and mercy, of this divinity, is Satpurush. Please understand that. No one here can go beyond Satpurush, beyond his back, and offer you something. This is now imagine what his real form is. If you can, metaphorically. Now imagine anyone going beyond that, try and bypass that. and offering you something. So be very careful. Be very careful who you listen to. Be very careful who you follow to, because there's a huge karmic relations involved here. When I speak about Satpurush, metaphorically speaking, the one hair of Satpurush, the Satpurush, imagine like a light, sound and light, like beyond anything you can even calculate or anything like that, and the one hair is a ray of that light. These are not like a physical hair on someone's head, in that sense. These are all metaphors. So the regions of Alak, Agam, and Anami are reserved for Satpurush. So even the master, your Sadguru, who initiated you, he's not exempt from that. He has to merge in Satpurush, just like you, like every individual soul, to go forward. And this process is only understood by anyone. You will never be able to understand this with the mind. This cannot be experienced, and this is only possible beyond Van Vargufa. Beyond Van Vargufa, because Van Vargufa region is very close to Satlok, But before crossing Van Vargufa, the many things have to happen, so to speak. Many things you're doing right now, none of that can cross that. I want to go into it because I'm going to cause too much distortion about all these different things. Because even the meditation, it is the stage. You can look at this as this is all one, or as the stages. The mind like to experience everything within the stages and perceive this as the separate stages. So be very careful of anyone who tells you that, or I am the master and I'm this and I'm that, or I spoke with master, told me this, master tell me that. I can tell you exactly how that is not, but I would be revealing too much to you. Or this and that, and the person like that, they get into the mind, the individual mind. They will get this whole idea, oh, I am chosen one. No, you're not. You don't even know what that means. It's not even expressed this way. Oh, person will go to the master, to his master, and will say, oh, master, I want to be like you. What do I do? Oh, just start giving satsangs, you want to be a perfect master, just start giving satsangs. So they will start trying to do that. This is not how it works, okay? We are all philosophers' stone, but to express that through these different regions or different bodies, that's a totally different issue. So many people will have a great knowledge of Bhagavad Gita or Vedas or secret knowledge of fifth Veda or anything like that, You can memorize all this. You can be the best speaker at any daily satsang or anything like that. I'm not trying to criticize anyone here, because there's a lot of groups, formed after during the Mr. Puri life, and especially now. But what I'm trying to say, this is all knowledge within the mind. None of that you'll be able to take it with you. Zero. And it's not going to help you. None of it. This is all pure mind. When I speak about the mind, I speak about the gross mind. In my consideration, the gross mind is a region of Pind, Anda, and a causal region. You can all look at this as a gross mind, but there are differentiation, the physical mind, your astral mind, and your mental causal mind. And then there's a continuation, but most people call that soul. But in Surcha Yoga, that is specifically explained differently. But for the simplicity, we say, oh, beyond the Trikuti, beyond the circle and triangle, there's these are the spiritual regions. But please understand that this all really originates from Vanvar Gufa. Okay, even the so-called spiritual regions we call this a very small mixture of the mother and spirit, but out of that very small seed comes everything down. Out of the smallest one, Gufa, comes everything down the road, so to speak. So when we speak of egg of Brahman, we speak about Ka, and when we speak about the regions a little bit beyond that, we're speaking about Mahakal. So I would like to explain that. Be very careful who you follow. And I'm already saying too much, because this is a deal with Kalnaranjan. Please understand that the saints, they can only, I'm not referring to anybody, but just generally, they can only say so much. And if you read Anurag Sagar, Ocean of Love, it's explained there's not the writings, there are not the writings by Kabir, which explain the traps of Kalnaranjan. And I'm not talking about 12 traps of Kalnaranjan and 4 messengers of Kalnaranjan as explained in Anurag Sagar, but there's other writings which tells you how the copies of these regions are recreated by Kalnaranjan. So you may think you get the initiation of the highest, but you may be getting initiation of Kalnaranjan. You might think you're in the highest Sachkhand, but that may not be the truth. So you have to be very careful. And the Kalnaranjan is not some, this is being with incredible being, if you have a chance to ever witness that, ever experience. This is not like someone, I don't want to, this is being of love, so to speak. This is immense consciousness, this universal consciousness and so forth. But many of you may not be aware of that. Many of you may, but these regions are recreated and these Brahmandas and so forth. This is separate satsang. I have to be very careful what I say. But I can refer you to Kabir about that. And there's some writings where he explained on these things, if you're interested, how that works, and if you're interested about this gates or these doors. Most people, when we speak about the 10 door, they think this is the entrance from the Brahman to Par Brahman. Some master will call that 10 door. But they also will call the region of spiritual eye, the Agna, and go into the Astra as a 10 door. In reference to Surcha Yoga and Kabir, as we're speaking about, when I speak about 10 door, I mean the one from spiritual eye to Astra region. That's what I mean, the 10 door. And when I say the 11th door, I'm speaking about this is between the Brahmanda and Par-Brahmanda region, the door. And when I'm speaking about the 12th door, I'm speaking about the door entrance to Satlok, okay, from Vanvar Gufa. This is this totally different discourse. So I just want to clear that up, because you may read somewhere, the 10th door is this is interest, from the causal to this, Some call it that, but for a reference, we call that 11th door. This is when you have to step on the head of this door is sealed. This gate is sealed totally. So if you're delusional and think you can do it without the perfect living master, then good luck. But the 11th door is this gate is sealed by Kalnaranjan, and this is when Kabir explained. This is when his head is blocking that, so this is when you step on his head. But he still explained, so if you're interested in that, you can find all this out. I'm just mentioning this because the way I explained, Kabir has his way of explaining, and also his words, and so Guru Nanak. And by the way, Guru Nanak, there's a very interesting story. How much time do we have?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Well, there's a story, I was reading this because I was reading some letters from the great master, and also Guru Nanak. There's a story about the snake. The master and disciple walking by the road, and there's the snake laying down, and ants all over that snake and chewing on it. So the disciple said, "Should I hurt the snake?" And the master says no, and he explained that the snake is the disciples, the ants are those disciples from their past life, and the snake is the guru. So this is what happened to. This is what can happen to anyone. In fact, many these rishis, many these gurus, they reach the regions of Shunya, Mahashunya. When you can get stuck for eternity, by the way, so to speak, because these are vortexes within that. The way you understand reading the books, these are metaphors. Please understand, all this is explained in the form of metaphors, the Guru Nanak, explained that. So Kirpal Sen, when after he went to Delhi and so forth, he said, that if I can find one true disciple, my mission is fulfilled. My mission is complete as the master. And this is also true because this is the very individual path. Most of us are at the stage when we practice meditation as a group, and this is the stage very hard to break through. And this is happening because you have these different groups. Let's say you have a Sisha in Canada, you have a Isha in US, and you have this in India, in Europe, and in Asia. You have different groups claiming different things, but they all are at the stage of the meditation. They organize, this retreats and stuff like that as a group meditation. Please understand that this is just a stage on Sochab Yoga. That the real meditation on Sochab Yoga is done individually. This is the stage which is very hard to break through. And honestly, with perfect living master, it's almost impossible because somehow we think, that we are part of this whole group and you are not. No one of your friends and Sanghis be able to join you or go with you when your moment of your death comes in. None of it, none of this will even matter in that sense. So there's a stage within the Sochab Yoga meditation when it becomes a purely individual meditation. And this is a very hard stage. Most people, when I look at, they cannot get over that. They will not. And this also has to do with the karma of these people. All these groups, they have their own karma, the relationships, and those have to be resolved. Now, if you're very lucky and you're able to be with the master, like Mr. Puri, perfect living master, this will be resolved when he is alive. This will be resolved, this karma. He will, if there's a reason for it, so to speak, he will resolve all these karmas. So the person like that, they will lose all these connections. People will literally stop calling you. I mean, not just theoretically, but literally, people will break the contact. And the reason for that is because this is how master works. He will break all these connections, including other satsangis. You will keep connection with some, which has to do with your seva and stuff like that, spiritual seva. And so. But in reality, this is one-man show. So the group consciousness or social consciousness of the group or Sangat is this is very hard to break through. But there's a moment where your master will help you with that. And if he's still alive, he can help you with that. And this is the realization with the master. You realize the master will tell you, am I not enough for you? There's a point when master will explain that to you. Because somehow out of the goodwill, we're trying to bring everybody else on a path. And I make that mistake too, We made that mistake, maybe not once. And the master will tell us, am I not enough for you? Why are you trying to get everybody else? And this is very hard to understand because I'm speaking from my own experience. Out of the good heart, we try to bring, give people opportunities, but the master, are we not enough for you? So this is everyone have to sooner or later face that. Now, please understand that if you don't resolve all this karmic relation here, because Mr. Puri says, when you're on this path, it takes about 5 to 6 lifetimes. Excuse me. But because he explained the great master initiation from Dharma Sin, the promise, and so all of that, no more than 4 lifetimes, right? And the understanding is that when you have a great master initiation, you don't have to reincarnate in a physical form. And this is like, whoa, everybody's this is my lifetime, last life, and so forth. But please understand that if your karmic relations are not resolved, even between the satsangis, they still will have to be. So you have to take that in account. And if now you coming over to the astral region, the radiant form of the master and causal form and stuff like that. But Mr. Puri, please understand that even the radiant form of the master, excuse me, this is why most people don't even pay attention to it. We have on Ishvara Puri Santmat, we have a clip, Master is speaking about that the radiant form of the master it has also the span limitation, okay? So you may find yourself in that region, so to speak, and you may ask your master to reincarnate, okay? This is something most people don't even consider. They do not consider that they themselves, so to speak, in astral form, in that sense, you may ask the master, because over there you have a totally different realization, totally different awareness than here in the physical form, the astral mind, the senses and all that, the form. So you may approach the master and beg him to his astral feet, please let me come back and again into this life. So because then you realize that this is the fastest way to resolve this. You may not want to be stuck for a million years in the causal region somewhere, I mean, human years, So because of the ignorance and this veil, we do not realize that. If we did realize this, we will do anything in this life. What should be a goal of this life? The goal should not be the astral experiences. The goal should not be the causal experiences. Your goal should be the true home, true Sachkhand. This is when the master operates from, with you, pulling you to that true home. And then if you make it there, so to speak, then that follows the experience of Satpurush. So when someone says to me, "Oh, master is looking at you from the Anami Loka," that is not possible. Please understand, the Anami Loka, these are static states of consciousness, okay? These are nameless, formless. No name and form can exist there. There's no person standing there or smiling at you, okay, like in physical. From Satlok to Anami, no name, form, color is possible. And I'm referring to color because Kirpa Sen explained that, the colors, when you go to this in the regions, the blue, the gold, and all that, Also, when you see the Trishti of the master, there could be like a ring around his eyes, or his eyes could be turned blue, or different colors, and there are different colors, and the blue will be, in reference to the radiant form, to the astral. So the Trishti, most of the people are aware, or they think there's only one Trishti, but there are different levels of the Trishti too, so to speak. Not for the master, but for us. So when you're in the presence of the perfect living master, all these miracles can happen. There's many other subjects I was planning to talk about. So be very careful if you're going to be initiated by the master. Be very careful who is giving you initiation. And especially be very careful if you're already initiated by the master, okay? Because you may be getting initiation of Kanaranjan. In other words, you may be refusing the master you already have. And these writings and this, they always explain when the perfect living master lives, he leaves his physical form. When he dies, there's a whole bunch of stuff start happening. All these fake gurus start showing up. They pop in, like everywhere, all over the world. People get into the head. Please understand. Please really understand this very careful. This may only exist in that person's head, the Moj. But if someone is very skilled, they can express that and convince you. But these are traps of Kanaranjan. I'm planning to have a satsang and explain all these different traps of Kanaranjan. In other words, what was written 600 years ago or something, I will try to bring this to the current situation, to the 2022, to this last 10 years, explain to that all these different groups and how these traps really works, how we entrap and all of this. This will be a very good satsang because not many people are aware. And usually if you just read the Anurag Sagar, it's hard to understand this, In other words, how to understand this in the current, as a reflected in current life. So be very careful. There also can be situation that someone will meet the master 1 time, 5 times, 10 times, and they will write the book. And that's all okay. But you have to be very careful when someone like that start making claims. Especially if they're going to make the claims, like I am maybe like a pseudo master, I speak to Mr. Puri inside, I will give you the answers. If you have any questions, I will go ask Mr. Puri, Be very careful of that. And anyone like that who's making these claims, because you have to understand that this can be only possible through the perfect living master, or someone who is the master. Person who is not, it doesn't work like that. So if you have a choice to just go within and try to find out yourself. And the reason for that is very simple. Because when the master initiates you, he initiates you in the region higher. So if you initiate in the physical form, and that is the case in Sursha Yoga, the initiation takes place in astral form. Now, the astral form operates differently, okay? If you go there, here, this glass, this water in this glass and these glasses, they cannot, they operate, they're in the separate places. They cannot occupy the same space, okay? You can't just, in astral region, this thing works differently. In other words, the form operates differently. I don't want to go too much into that because this would disrupt many people generally. So when master initiates you, he places the clone of himself inside, okay? The clone is a copy. The clone, as expressed through the word, it means not original. It means the copy of the original. So when you go to someone and asking them the spiritual questions, make sure that person is connected to not to the clone, but to the real deal. And that means that person and the master, they have to be one and the same. I'm just giving here very small and very like for children, for like we are the children, we try to grasp some of these things. Please understand that the Satsang Yoga it's the most direct path, but maybe it's the most misunderstood path, Very few people really understand the Radhaswami Yoga, because you really have to spend a lot of time with the perfect living master, and he literally have to take you by hand, so to speak, and as Grace knows what that means. So, but you have to understand that the master in physical form, he has a limited ability to be with everybody, So to consolidate that and to make up for it, he plays in the clone, so to speak, of himself as already informed and so forth. Please also understand that the whole show is really within the mind. All of it, 100%. And this is very hard to understand. The other thing, before I finish, I like to also say that there's a letter from the great master. I was reading some of these letters. There's a disciple in America writing to the great master, Hazur Baba Savansin. I want to see you, I want to come to India, and so forth and so forth. You can read those letters. And the great master, he explained to that disciple that do not come to India yet. Basically, he says, you're not ready. The physical form of the master is not the master, is the Shabbat and stuff like that. So let's take this example. Many will take that and try to convey this to everybody else. Please understand, these letters are written to very specific disciples. And you cannot just take anything said, and apply just universally. Some things you can, but these are very subjective letters, And so many will claim, the physical form is not the master, it's not the master, And they will look for these different examples, to justify that. And I can give you very, very exact example within the organization, but that will upset so many people. I don't want, I don't want to upset too many people, so I will not go further in this. Because no matter what, we all brothers and sisters. We own the same path. But sometimes our egos, they take over, and we start making claims which are not even Socha Yoga. Because it's easy to make for someone to make these different claims, but they lack awareness that the magnitude of it. That let's say everyone proclaimed himself the master, and it happened. I mean, I know who these people are. I know the names, literally, basically most of them, I know who they are. So when it happens, that may mislead a lot of other people, In fact, like I said, during the Bandara, I was with the master, me and Grace, and master, that was exactly a year before he passed away. We already knew what's going to happen in that sense. He was wrapping these businesses, these things we've been wrapping up, and some people will still go in February, and they know who they are. I know who they are, They will go see the master, they will try to, this is not me to say this and that. So, but we were sitting, but master will speak about that. We spoke about that. He will review things. Which for whatever reason he chose us for that. Which I have to take to my grave or to my ashes. I will never be able to speak about these things because this will totally crush people's minds. You either wind up in the Luni hospital, or you just won't be able to make to what's the word, function. So when the master deals with disciple, they look at what stage of the mind is, and this is not the just stage you're born, but this. In case of me and Grace, this is very long time. I must explain that to us, So these are the miracles, this other aspect of miracles, that please understand that the perfect. No?
Pranay.
I mean, it's a mandatory,
Yeah.
push of a
I'm going to
button
finish.
saying that
I'm going to finish after this. Maybe
Sure,
I should not even talk about this.
Not,
I don't want to be crashing people here.
no, you're not crashing. your
Crash
brother.
course. Please understand that the role of perfect living master is take you to true home, okay? And which most of us we call that Satsang. But there is every region has its own Satsang. So your aim, in that sense, your aim should be the real true home.